All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome into today's edition of In the Game. I am your host, Hustle, and as always, we're going to be diving into the Web3 gaming landscape and one of my, I think, most hyped upcoming TGEs in Q1, which is Arcade. I've been, talking with this team for quite some time, and I have the pleasure to be speaking with JP, the man in charge over at Arcade today. So we're going to be diving into the ecosystem, the upcoming TGE. What exactly is Arcade? I think this is really going to open people's eyes because I think for the GameFi space, this is a really cool product. So excited to go over this today. Without further ado, let's get in the game. And as always, guys, drop down, hit that like button, and subscribe. Leave your comments down below on Arcade and some of your favorite TGEs coming up. I mean, I'm super hyped about Arcade, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. But like and subscribe down below. And a quick shout out to all of our sponsors here on In the Game. We have some amazing sponsors from Vulcan Forged, Ultra, Game Starter, Dreams Quest, Uncaged, Africa Rare, My Lovely Planet, 96.com, as well as NordVPN. So, guys, hit the description down below. Check out all of our sponsors. But we are here to dive into this platform, and I think it's an amazing platform for the GameFi space. I have the pleasure to talk to JP today. JP, how are you?
Doing great, man. Thank you so much for having us. It's always a pleasure to talk with you, and excited to talk GameFi today.
Absolutely. I mean, the space has evolved so much since you and I first connected. It really flipped on its head, to be, quite honest, which is awesome to see. It's really paving its way forward, and we'll talk about the space as a whole here in just a second. But I just want to let you introduce yourself, and then for anyone who doesn't really know what Arcade is, just give a little quick TLDR on what is Arcade.
Cool. Yeah. So a little bit of background on me. My name's Josh, but I go by JP. I'm CEO and one of the co-founders of Arcade. My background is primarily in project management, business development. I had a few. It's a very entrepreneurial background, not so much corporate America. Like I have partners at Arcade that have like more of the traditional background. Mine's a little bit more private ownership of different companies. I had a few smaller exits over the past decade, and just a lot of time in the capital markets. I came primarily from like the biotech industry, trading and investing, and that's really what got me interested in crypto. I like the high risk, high reward type, atmosphere of biotech and tech companies, and crypto fit the bill, right away. So I've been in the space since about 2015, and I've been a gamer my whole life. So it's probably a little bit about me.
Yeah. And then you want to give like a quick overview of kind of how Arcade got started, and then what exactly is Arcade for someone who has just no idea what Arcade
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, so Arcade is we kind of started as a game guild. Actually, we were gonna go around and raise some capital for a game guild. This was back in 2021 when like that was all the craze, and we started to talk to some venture partners and hedge funds and stuff to raise capital for it, and quickly realized that there was like some key barriers in the gaming industry or the GameFi industry that we wanted to solve for, and the three main things are lack of time, lack of interest in gaming, and lack of capital. So what Arcade is, we're essentially solving for those three problems by making it possible for people to get exposure to the broader GameFi ecosystem without having to put up the time, to have the interest, to have the skill, or to have all of the capital needed, right? So to get involved with GameFi before Arcade, you really needed to have some of these things, right? Like to get optimal exposure to all of the different games in the industry. I mean, you know better than anyone that you need to have like 5 grand here, 10 grand here. It's like
Oh,
it
yeah.
stacks up so fast to have all of the NFTs for all of the games you want. And in order to get that exposure, we were like, okay, how can we break this down and offer people, a lower barrier to entry to that exposure? So Arcade has this thing called mission pools, which is essentially a derivative of any type of in-game activity. You can see them up on the screen now. So, it can be a harvest, harvesting land in Illuvium for 30 days. It can be a ship mission in Star Atlas from point A to point B. It can be, a week of conquests and Heroes of Mavia. Whatever the case may be, you can take your Arcade token, deposit into those different activities, get direct exposure to those in-game activities and the rewards generated from them without the need to buy all of the plots of land to be good at a base builder, right? Some of us are just not that good at like a Mafia style game, right? I played a little bit of Clash back in the day, but I mean, there's people that are like, how the heck do I build this base so that I don't like keep getting slammed every 4 hours, like when my shield comes down? So in order to get that optimized exposure, that's really what Arcade's solving for.
Yeah, for sure. And overall, like lowering the barrier of entry to GameFi as well, because I think a lot of people want to be exposed to a lot of these
Mhm.
different games. But like you said, one game you might not be privy to that type of game mode, but maybe you do want that exposure to it. The mission pools allow you to do so.
Right. So, to that point, there's a lot of people that kind of their game is playing the economic side, right? Like for a trader, their game is like playing the markets, doing the research on what is going to be like a good ROI on this stock or that stock. And so we wanted to create a game of games essentially, where if you're like bullish on Heroes of Mavia, you looked at the tokenomics and you're like, okay, I think this game is going to do really well, but I don't like base builders. Then Arcade is kind of your way that you can get that economic upside without the gameplay being directly attached to it.
Yeah, no, I love it, and I think this is the type of product that um, maybe would have done like amazingly well in that scholarship era, but I think the scholarships falling through actually is going to make this type of a platform more useful because this isn't utilizing that model. It's kind of a very much a different model where you guys are kind of facilitating the activity on the back end. Is that right, or how do the mission pools function on the back end rather than the user
Yeah.
side?
Yeah, so what's actually happening behind the scenes is Arcade is partnering with a network of professional gamers, esports teams, game guilds. So it's not an open scholar model in the traditional sense because we don't just recruit a bunch of scholars to come do these activities. One of the value propositions of our platform is that not only do you want exposure, you want optimized exposure. You want someone that is going to do the activity at the highest level. So Arcade sources the professional players. Like we could have a mission pool that's ran by Hustle for like an FPS shooter or something because you're a really good FPS shooter, right? So like someone that isn't good at FPS games could get into a Hustle mission pool because they're like, okay, we know Hustle's really good at this genre, so he's going to get more rewards than the next guy, right? So it's kind of that skill gap that makes our platform more valuable. And so it's not a traditional sponsor model, but it definitely does kind of ride on some of the similar kind of fundamentals. Now on the back end, Arcade is facilitating the partnering between like the Arcade platform, Hustle, the game assets, and then we create the mission pool, and all of the different pieces come in on that.
Right. Okay. And a couple questions, I guess, more on the general GameFi space. Obviously, we saw the play to earn wave kind of fizzle out. Now these economies are kind of finding ways to be a little more sustainable long term and be able to kind of function in that way. You and I were around whenever it was, Axie, Peg Axie, Krabata,
Yeah,
etc. So these things have gotten much healthier over time. And do you think like Web3 gaming, have we found the recipe? This is not even an arcade question. Have we
yeah.
found the recipe to make these things sustainable? Or do you think it's still an ever evolving model since it's such an infant industry that we still haven't maybe perfected it, but we're closer to fine tuning the economy side?
Yeah, I think we're definitely closer now. The Axie, Pig Axie, Krabata type era was, and I think we may have even said this on a previous show together, but it was kind of like, it's very much DeFi with pretty pictures, right? Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's not gaming. It's like just it was very fake, right? It,
It
it
was
felt
farming.
like
That's
it
all it was.
exactly. And so I hate to even relate that to what the industry is now because now we actually have games, right? Like we have things that are fun to play. I wake up every morning and I'm like, I want to check my Mafia plot. Like it's the
Yep.
same kind of feeling that you get from like playing a Clash of Clans. Um, and so, I think we're in a much healthier position. It does take years, as you know, to make these AAA games or these really high quality games. And I think for a while, people were just kind of getting impatient. They were like trying to rush the devs to like produce stuff because like, oh, we got to get it in, like the token price is dumping or whatever. And I think it can create some kind of false narratives or disconnect between the quality of the games and the community. But I think we're getting into a healthier space. And I think the next year or two, depending on how this bull cycle goes, I think it's going to be really healthy for the industry. And I think it's going to bring in a lot of people that want to just game and have fun. And Arcade is kind of a solution for that side also, because the average gamer might not want to spend $1,000 on a plot of land to
Right.
play the game, right? And maybe they're a really good player, but they don't want to spend the money. That's kind of where the mission pool operators on our side come in. We can give them the asset they need to be an operator. They can play the game without having to spend the money on the NFT, and everyone's happy.
Yeah, I love the model. Ever since I first started, chatting with you guys about it, I just saw such a use case for it. I mean, I was a participant in a lot of those early games, and I've always been a fan of the economy. So for the people that maybe don't have the time or don't have the skill sets, this is like the perfect solution for that. Another general GameFi question, because it's obligatory. We've been in the space too long. What are some of the games you're most excited about that are live right now, and maybe some of the upcoming ones that you're really looking forward to?
Yeah, so I would say that the ones I'm having the most fun with currently are the Illuvium Arena. I enjoyed that, but I like the strategy behind like an auto battler type thing.
Yeah.
I'm big on creature collectors, so when the overworld like comes out and that it's all started to click together, I think that's really going to be one of my favorites. So the mission pool that we had here for Illuvium was harvesting resources from the land. I was having fun with that also. It does feel a little bit dry. Like I think there's some loops they can add to make it a little bit more engaging. Heroes of Mavia, I'm having a blast. I'm not the best, but I'm having a blast.
Yeah,
but
love it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm having fun with it. I've had good experiences with Shrapnel. I think one that I'm really excited for that's not quite released, and I think you've talked about it on your show, is Off the Grid. I'm pumped for Off the Grid. I think that's going to be so much fun. I think that probably would be the main ones. Heroes of Mavia, Illuvium are like the ones that are like my go-to for like when I'm just like hanging out and I want to play something.
Yeah.
I think Big Time's got some potential also. It's one that we have a mission pool coming up for soon. Have you played Mars 4? I don't know if that's one you've played around with. It's actually pretty fun. Like I don't know. I didn't expect it to be that addicting. Like I'm having fun building my base on Mars. So if that's not one you've looked into, might be worth a look.
I jumped into a playtest a little bit ago, but I've seen people more recently talking about it. So it seems like, I don't know, they've been building for a while, and the project's been brought up in a lot of different conversations recently. Maybe I need to go check out the recent gameplay, but I'm in the similar boat as you. I'm really looking forward to Off the Grid. That's my number one. Like I think Off the Grid could be the top Web3 game that we see now, and then like it could really set that next standard of AAA games in Web3, and then building on Xbox and PlayStation. Just a lot of stuff to like there. So I was just curious your opinion and some of the games you were looking forward to, and what are some of the games. From my understanding, the games that you're doing mission pools with, you guys are kind of partnered up with in some sort of capacity. So what are some of the other games coming that might have mission pools, and who are some of those game partners?
Yeah, so it's worth noting that there isn't a formal partnership or a technical integration that's required. We do have great relationships with most of these games just because what we're building benefits them. We are bringing attention to their games, which brings players. We're bringing capital to their games because we buy their NFTs, and we also have a network of hedge funds that like to buy NFT assets they don't want to play with. And so that benefits the games also. So we have great relationships with all these games, but no technical integration required. And that really allows for us to stay agile on our side, right? If like new game comes out, like a week later, we can have a mission pool ready for it if we like it, right? I mean, I would say, we've got the Star Atlases, we've got, a Honeyland one that's live right now, Heroes of Mavia. Some that are coming up soon that I don't know if we've publicized, but I guess this is alpha. We've got Big Time that's going to be releasing soon. We've got a Mars 4 one, AI Arena, if you're not familiar. So the AI. Oh yeah, I think you're actually one of the captains or something
of their play to airdrop right now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. On our last meeting, they were like, here's the list of our play to airdrop captains. You should try to get on someone's team. And we were like, we're just going to talk to Hustle. Like,
let's go.
But AI Arena, we've got one coming up there. The Futureverse ecosystem, they have a game called Racers, I think is what it's called. It's RAICERS, and that's like an AI racing kind of Mario Kart style type thing that's coming soon. That's one that we'll have mission pools for. And yeah, I mean, honestly, we have dozens of different games that we're talking to. Almost anyone that comes to us and says, "Hey, do you have this game in your network?" The answer is yes. We're well networked in the industry, and lots of exciting things on the way.
Yeah, I would definitely vouch for that. Anytime I needed a connection, the guys are very willing to put me in a chat or get me in a convo with any given team. And yeah, the Futureverse ecosystem is an awesome one. Kazi, the big, not in a bad way, #1 shill for Futureverse. He should be on payroll, I'm telling you. But
Kazi is a big fan of what they're building. I think rightly so. They're building really cool stuff.
They got some awesome stuff under the hood, that's for sure. So let's talk a little bit about obviously what's coming up with the arcade token. So what obviously some of the stuff with the mission pools you've already kind of mentioned, but why come out with a token? And then number two, how is the token going to be integrated across the ecosystem and maybe even beyond the mission pools?
Yeah, so the token is a utility instrument that really we wanted to. The goal was to democratize the way that you can get exposure to this industry because of those barriers that we talked about. And so when you have, the barriers of capital, of time, of interest, we can really use a fractionalized token to allow people to get that exposure without having to buy the $10,000 plot of land, right? So with our platform, the arcade token gives you the same exposure as any of the whales, right? Because your one arcade token is getting you access to that $10,000 plot of land. Your 1 token, your 10 token, your 10,000 tokens, everyone is kind of getting the same exposure. So that's kind of how we wanted to build that in. And the token itself is, or the mission pools themselves, I should say, it's kind of like a focus group also, because the tokens that you hold in your wallet, you're picking and choosing what games, what operators, right? What types of activities you like. Because every time you put a token into a mission pool, you're saying, okay, I think this activity is going to produce the best rewards, like even more so than a different type of activity. Even if we have the same game with, one is a hustle operator, one is a JP operator, if people are like, okay, hustle is going to absolutely smash this, then like there's going to be more tokens deposited into your pool. Right. That tells us, okay, cut JP as a mission pool operator because like he doesn't know what he's doing and hustle does, right? So there's a little bit of like a psychological aspect to that. And then we can take a lot of that feedback and give it to the game developers, help them build better games by saying, this game loop is super popular versus, a different one. And really the ARC token is what unlocks all of this utility, all of this access. If you want to get exposure to 10 different games across a dozen different blockchains, you can do that with 1 token, all on the AVAX network, right? B&B games, this game on Near, this game on, Future on Root Network, this one on IMX. You don't have to juggle a bunch of different wallets. You can take 1 token, 1 network, deposit it into however many mission pools you want, split it up across 5 of them, get exposure to the broader industry in one place.
Yeah, I love that. And my next question was going to be, with all the potential intricacies of the economy, so you guys are building on Avalanche, I heard you mention.
Yeah. So we have a 2 token system. There's a few different reasons that we went with this approach. The first token, the ARC token, is on Ethereum mainnet. We did that because we wanted the foundation of the platform to be based on like something that's very stable with a lot of liquidity. We didn't want to have to deal with like some weird side chain for liquidity issues, whatever. So we did ARC for ETH mainnet, and X Arcade is the platform token, which lives on Avalanche. And what happens, you take your ARC token on Ethereum on our platform. There's a bridge interface. It's actually powered by Layer 0. There's a bridge interface that you click swap from Arcade to X Arcade. And as part of that interaction, you're bridging from Ethereum to Avalanche. And then on the 𝗩𝗥𝗢𝗓 chain is where you go in and out of all the mission pools. This allows for us to scale, because part of the other kind of motivation for this was that we want people with $5 to feel like they can get involved, right? And if you're trying to do that on Ethereum, it's like you're going to pay $20 in gas fees to like deposit $5 worth of tokens. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So we wanted, people with smaller bags to be able to participate and feel like they're getting the same exposure. And so I guess the only other main thing to note there is just that when you're buying and selling the arcade token, like when we have our TGE event, all of that happens on Ethereum mainnet. We're not going to have we're not at least going to provide liquidity for xArcade on Avalanche. We expect that there probably will be some whales that go and make their own liquidity pool, similar to how SILV with Illuvium kind of has its own liquidity pool on the side that's not sanctioned by the team. But so you'll buy the ARC, you'll swap it on our platform. You can always go back out at a 1-to-1 ratio. So you're not locked in. If you get your rewards from the mission pool and you want to swap it out and sell it, you have the ability to do that.
Awesome. Yeah. And I know the launch is coming up here pretty soon. Timeline that we can expect the ARC token to hit the markets?
Yeah. So by the end of March is what we're looking at currently. So we are currently finalizing some details with our launch partners, and we're also in discussion with several different centralized exchanges, and we really just need everyone's timing to line up, right?
Right.
And so it's a little bit up in the air, but there'll be an announcement coming soon on like specifics for the day and the time and the place for all of these things, but expect it by the end of March for the ARC token launch.
Okay, amazing. No, and I'm so stoked for that. I've been waiting on this one for quite a while, so that's going to be awesome. And then so obviously there's going to be IDOs for the ARC token. How can anyone maybe try to get involved? Just try to give the audience some opportunities. Any ways for them to get involved leading up to the launch?
Yeah. So going back a little bit to the 2-token system, the ARC token is the one that we're selling, we're distributing. Now, xArcade is actually already live on mainnet. So what you pulled up earlier, the DApp here on the screen, those are mission pools that are operating currently. You can see it says live. You can see how much time is remaining. And so what we've done is through a lot of these different community activations through partners that we have. We did one with CyberKongs, YGG, 𝗡𝗢𝗓𝗓𝗏. We have one going with Asset Dash right now, one with Saga DAO. So what we've done is we've worked with some of our partners to airdrop the xArc token on Avalanche so that people can get early access to the mission pools. You can't swap back out yet because the ARC token isn't launched, but you can get the xArc token and start playing in the mission pools, having fun with it, checking out the platform. And then at TGE, you'll be able to swap back out at a 1-to-1 ratio, just like everyone else. So, through those community airdrops, you'll be able to get exposure to that. And I think we actually have something planned with you coming up pretty soon for that. So maybe we can leak some alpha there, but your viewers should hopefully be able to get some tokens soon.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and drop the alpha. I mean, we're about 23 minutes in. Let's do it. I mean, I'm excited for it. It's going to be sick. What's the alpha you got for us?
Yeah. So we're doing a community airdrop for this thing of ours. So your community, the ultimate GameFi gaming kind of alpha group that you've built there is going to get early access to our mission pools. So we're going to have a pre-mint campaign is kind of how we're going to do it. And the reason we're doing it that way is so that we can log so we can tie a wallet address from the holder of this thing of ours to the arcade platform. So when you create a profile on Arcade, you create a profile using the same address that you hold your NFT with, and then you'll be able to go in and claim some tokens. More information on that. We'll have instructions on how to do it all. It's totally free. I mean, you'll have to pay a AVAX gas fee, right? So like 10 cents or something, but you'll be able to go and claim your tokens. You can go straight into the mission pools that are in the funding state. And then after TGE, we hope you'll stay with us and keep playing, but these are real tokens, right? These aren't fake. You can take those tokens, swap them back out, and sell them if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, knowing my community, I think a lot of them are going to love this platform in general because more people want exposure to other games that they're, like I said, the ones they're not spending a lot of time in. It definitely makes sense for them to go utilize this platform. I'm so stoked for it. Obviously, we got the TTO logo up here
Oh yeah.
and over here. So the
We're
alpha
pumped.
was dropped throughout the show, right? It's in camera, right? But
Yeah.
really excited for the community to get their hands on that. And where can people follow Arcade? Follow yourself, get ready for the token launch, and get ready for these mission pools whenever they are live to people who have the tokens.
Yeah. So so we actually have some new mission pools that'll be launching later this week. So by the time that this claim goes live for the community, there should hopefully be a mission that's in what we call the funding stage. So when it's in the funding stage is when you can go and deposit your tokens. So be on the lookout for that. The DApp is play.arcade2earn2.io. You can see us, popping back.
Yep.
Cool. And then, for probably the easiest place to keep track of what we're doing is the Twitter, or X. And that's just Arcade2Earn. And we're pretty active there. Our Discord is also fairly active. But if you're going to pick one place, Twitter's probably where the most alpha gets dropped. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, if you want to follow me, my name is actually Mission Pool. My last name is Pool, so that's kind of where it where it came in.
I freaking love it. So on brand.
So it was just so perfect. Last name is Pool with an E, so Mission Pool with an E is how we came up with that. But no, it's perfect. But yeah, feel free to follow me also. We're super pumped to bring your community in. We'd love everybody to kind of get involved in the community one way or another. Give us your feedback. Let us know what games you like, because we can always add new missions, new activities. Let us know what you like, what you want to see more of, and we're on it.
Yeah, I love it. I love the platform. I love what you guys have been building for the last couple of years. And I'm just super excited to see this thing go live, see everyone flocking in and using this. I just think it's very needed in the space where, like you said, liquidity rules all at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And if you're not able to get access to some of these, key ecosystem and economic, assets, then you're kind of left behind in some regard. So this is one of those platforms that in my words, I would say kind of evens the playing field. So
For sure.
very much needed in the space. JP, I know y'all got TGE coming up, everything going on the back end. So I will let you get back to work and keep pushing this thing out. And just alpha for you guys out there. He told me some very nice alpha on some potential stuff before launch. So be on the lookout for that. I think you'll see some very nice potential announcements and who they're working with pre-launch. But I'll drop that because I'm allowed to, but JP isn't.
There's only so much I can say about that, but yeah, lots of fun stuff.
Hey, I'm just dropping some hints, right? Got to create the FOMO because it's coming. Guys, like the videos, subscribe, follow Arcade2Earn, follow JP here on Twitter, and head over to their website. Like, check it out. I truly do think it's one of the coolest ecosystems out there in Web3 gaming and GameFi. And like we said, evening the playing field. So like, subscribe, leave your comments down below. JP, it was a pleasure, and we will see you guys on the next one. As always, play well, my friends.